It's a sacred space. When I'm in a meeting, it's sacred and it's safe for people to share whatever's going on, because if you share your pain, it gets cut in half. You share your joy and it doubles. That's the rule.
What's your first year recovery, if you remember, like that? And what's some good John Little tips for people in their first year recovery?
Oh man, I was fucking jerking off till I was dehydrated, man. My first fucking year.
Yeah,
dude.
jerk off a lot, audience. As long as you don't drink or get high.
Love is an action, man. And I have to act it. I have to buy her flowers. I got to keep writing songs about her. I got to keep putting poems under her pillow and rubbing her feet and all the shit that I don't want to do. Because when I don't feel it, it's hard to do it. But when I do it, I feel it. I feel more in love with her when I take the action.
Amen, brother. Today, I've got not just a legend, because you are, brother. I mean, a man who helped shape the soundtrack of a generation as the frontman of Goldfinger and a powerhouse producer behind some of punk and alt-rock's greatest records. But beyond the music, he's my sober brother, and I love him fucking dearly. We've been walking this path of recovery together for a long time. John Feldmann is proof that you can live out loud, live clean, and turn your story into fire. Brother, welcome to the Seano Show.
Keep going. What else you got?
Welcome to the Seano Show.
Thank you, brother.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm going to open with your great line that you love to say. I just feel the spirit of this right now. I love my life because I say so.
Because I say so.
Let's talk about what that means.
Okay. Let's go.
I love my life because I say so.
Let's go right into it, dude.
Yeah.
I mean, I have had an incredible life, and I'm so grateful for everything that I've ever got. But there's been ups and downs, brother. There have been ups and downs. Ultimately, I was selling shoes, right? I was, doing my get well job in 1994, and I'd been rehearsing.
Well, you're sober at how long now?
5 years. I'm sober 5 years.
Yeah.
I'm working on the promenade, right? And I'm doing everything they suggest, all the suggestions, but I'm still selling shoes, which wasn't my career of choice.
I have a hard time going, you look like an 8, ma'am.
I would absolutely be able to call out back then a 9.5.
Yeah.
What are you, an 11?
Right.
Yeah, I could call it out.
You're at the promenade, you're hustling shoes.
Yeah, because they told me to be self-supporting through my own contributions, right? And they say you get self-esteem by doing esteemable acts.
Yes.
And so I was earning a living. I didn't have, there's no kind of trust fund for me. I was just out there hustling and doing my thing. And I'm just staying sober, selling shoes, and I'm rehearsing in my band Goldfinger, my little band that had done nothing at the time. We'd played maybe like 20 little club shows locally and doing all that thing. And I had my little cassette tape, at the podium. And like I like to say, if you don't know what a cassette tape is, you can fuck off, man, because those were the days, dude. Cassette tapes and CDs, man. And this guy came in that, had seen me play. And he was an A&R guy at this little teeny label, Mojo Records. Patrick McDowell came in. I sold him a pair of 9.5 Oxblood Doc Martens, and I stuck my cassette demo in his shoebox. Yeah. And he listened to it that night, called me the next day, said, I want to offer you a record deal. Right. So when I was a kid, right, like I've always been a musician. I mean, since I was 12, I started playing the bass guitar, and I'm like, how am I going to be a professional musician? It wouldn't have been like learn how to play the bass, number one, number two, get a job at a shoe store. That wouldn't have been
the trajectory.
Steps.
No, right.
That wouldn't have been it, but I was taught to do the next indicated action, which at the time was paying my rent, which was selling shoes. And so I got offered this record deal. I gave my 2-week notice, and I went off to, tour the world and do all the greatness. But I had, everything in my life, I can connect the dots looking backwards to say, this is how I got to where I am. But the future is never known. I didn't know it was going to be that, and I found this band The Used when I was on tour. So without my band, I wouldn't have found The Used, which gave me my journey as a producer. I found them. I said, I can make your demo better than the one you have, because I knew enough from making records with Goldfinger, I could be a producer. And I made that record, and then I got this huge job at Warner Brothers because I discovered them. They offered me my own A&R consultancy at Warner Brothers, and I had this huge career, right? And then rock and roll is like, at the time, rock music, alternative, the singer of the Used discovered My Chemical Romance. He got them signed to Warner Brothers. Like it all kind of went in this trajectory. And then, EDM came along and sort of like wiped.
Done.
Guitars were gone. It was just like Swedish House Mafia. And, Skrillex, who's a friend of mine, Sonny, he had an emo band from first to last, but he pivoted and became the legend that he is. Right. But at the time it was like, so my boss at Warner Brothers got fired. Everyone underneath him got fired. And I was living in Bel Air, massive house, like my Aston Martin, my whole everything.
You're that guy. Yeah.
I had everything. And then it's just like that. My dog died, my dad died, my son was diagnosed with kidney cancer, all within a week. And it was like, where the fuck are we going to go? My son's, he had the surgery, got rid of his kidney, and the doctors were wrong. It wasn't cancer, but it was a lot, a fucking lot to process. And I'm like, I'm getting to your fucking story here in a second, but it was like, I got depressed, man. I went to my home group and I said, I think I got to move to the Valley. And the guy at the meeting, he said, the Valley, that's where dreams go to die, is what he said. You know what I mean? And I'm like, we gotta figure this out. I got a family. I got to do adult things. So we moved to the Valley. And I'm out there and I'm depressed, man, because my son's sick. All of, my people, my support group is all, I've moved and I'm shocked. It gets like an hour and a half to go to Mario's, right? And it's like, what am I going to do? And I'm driving up the hill one day. I call my guy, my mentor, John Kimball, and I'm like, what do I do? And I get to the top of the 405. I got AT&T. I drop the call, of course. I'm telling him, like, dude, I got these suicidal ideations. I don't know what I'm going to do. And I call him and he just said, and I call him back as I drop the call and he goes, John, I thought you killed yourself, because he's a funny guy or whatever. And I call my other guy and he said, this is what I want you to do. When you wake up in the morning, I want you to go in your own backyard, face the sun and say, I love my life, as loud as you can. And at the time I'm like, dude, I'm not going to say some stupid thing that's never going to work. I'm not going to trick myself into believing something that isn't true. So I didn't for like a month. It got really dark. And I asked my friend John Robinson, I go to him, I said, dude, it's been dark. He goes, it's always darkest right before it turns pitch black. And he starts laughing, he's like, the forever cynic that he was. So finally I did it. I just made a decision. I'm going to do this stupid thing that's never going to work. I'm in my own backyard. Same day, I'm interviewing this kid that's going to intern for me, right? And he shows up a half hour early. And I think I'm by myself in my backyard, my eyes closed, facing the sun. I just go, I love my life. And I look over and this kid, Spencer, is right next to me. And he goes, I love my life too, And he didn't get the job. But it's like, ultimately the kid called me a year later and he said, man, I've been taking pills. I can't stop. And I know, and I didn't talk to him at all about me being sober. I just talked to him about music. And he said, maybe this guy who was praising the sun god, which is what he said to me, can help me. And so from that point on, I've been saying I love my life out loud every day. And it was the first step that got me out of that hole. And the mind is a powerful thing, man. What I say to myself is what happens. It becomes my reality. And if I want to think negative thoughts, my life becomes a negative place. And if I want to say positive things, it's the opposite. Whatever I choose to focus on is what my reality is. And I choose to say, I love my life.
Yeah,
I choose to say it.
Yeah.
Even if I don't believe it,
Yeah.
I say it anyway.
Okay. Oh my God. I mean, there's so much. One of the things I love about your journey is all the different pivots, all the different transitions. Okay. Let's back up a little bit. Let's talk. Where are you from?
I grew up in the Bay Area. Well, I was born in San Diego, moved into the Bay Area when I was 11 and grew up there. And a lot of my, journey, and I was a derelict in the streets as a kid, like a lot of us and our friends. We just trying to find our way. I had a dad. I mean, he had polio, so he was in a wheelchair, right? He was the last man to contract polio in America. And he was in a wheelchair his whole life. And he used this virus to really push the evolution of his education. He went to graduate school, became a PhD in nuclear physics. The smartest guy I'd ever met was my dad, and he had all these expectations for me, which he did the best he could. And when he died, we were in good terms. But man, it was rough in the beginning because I was terrible at school. I couldn't focus. I had ADD. No one really knew what that was back then. And I was just all over the place. And all I could focus on was music.
But you knew at an early age, this is what I want to do, right?
12.
At 12. You said, what happened?
I remember the show we played at a party, and I was a bass player, singer of a band. And after I just watched this group of 5 girls not be able to keep their eyes off of me. And I'm like, this is it, man.
At 12.
At 12. I'm
right.
like, this is what I want to do with my life. At the time, it was just like, I couldn't talk to girls. I was this kind of introverted, shy kid before I really started drinking and doing drugs. I was just like, super in. But music is like magic, man.
Yeah,
it's
right
like
on.
whatever the universe, God, whatever that is, speaks to me through music. And I become in the moment. I'm right there, focused. I'm able to, be the best version of me when I'm creating music. When I feel useless or self-pity, it's like if I create something, I feel like I've got a purpose. I've got something to do.
Wow. Were you writing songs at 12?
I was writing songs at 12.
You were, right?
Yeah.
When did you realize you were a good songwriter?
A good songwriter? That's a great question. I think it took, I was probably 25 to realize that this was something I could do at 25. So I'd been writing songs for 13 years, before I really honed in that like I can actually do this. I was in 3 bands before Goldfinger, and I really didn't know how to organize songs and arrange them until I got to where I needed to get to. I was in a metal band, this metal band called the Electric Love Hogs, the best fucking name of all time. And it was funny because all the guys went off. The drummer started Orgy, another great band. The guitar player started Velvet Revolver, and the bass player went on to be in Goldfinger with me. So it was everyone kind of went out from that. We had fucking Tool open for us. We had Rage Against the Machine open for us. Korn open. The Deftones open for us.
Oh my God.
We had all these legendary bands back in the 90s open for us. And it was a cool journey that lasted 2 years, but our songs were terrible. Our songs were fucking terrible. We were great live.
Wow.
Great live band. But man, I didn't know how to write back then,
Okay. All right.
But in the very beginning, I studied the Beatles. I studied the Police. I studied Social Distortion. Those were all the bands that I kind of tried to learn the Buzzcocks, tried to learn how to arrange, here's the chorus, here's the story in the verse that leads up to the synopsis of the story, which is the chorus, right? I kind of learned how to do that really, really young. And it was funny because I just went to my high school reunion, my 40th high school reunion last weekend. And the girl that was my first broken heart, she was there. I'd stolen a little necklace when I was in high school to write her a poem and put it in her mailbox, all the shit that we do as kids, idiot kids, and she was there, and it was just cool to be reminded of, how far I've come, and that I'm glad everything worked out the way it was with my wife, and everything is what it is.
We're going to talk about her. Let's go into your addiction history because it's a hell of a story. Let's spend some time on that.
The first time I got drunk, it was like my, that warmth that just cut, my whole body it became like I could take a breath. Like I could take a breath finally. And it's like, as a kid, you don't know how much pressure you're under, or you're trying to figure yourself out in adolescence, and you're trying to, figure out what it is to be a man. When I'm between 12 and 16, and the first time I got drunk, probably right around 13, I was at this beach party in Santa Cruz, bonfire on the beach, like a John Hughes movie. And I blacked out, came to out of a blackout. I had these 2 girls that were in high school. I was in 8th grade. I was making out with both of them.
Oh,
and I'm like, man, I have arrived, dude. I had arrived. I'm like, this is what I want to do. It took over everything. It was like I was still focused on music, but it was like this became such a big part of it. Like the idea of getting drunk and getting high and playing shows. It was all, I remember when we opened for 7 Seconds, one of my heroes, this band that I grew up on up in Lake Tahoe, this friend of mine had a little bullet full of cocaine, and I just remember having to stop in between every songs to do a bump. And I was a kid, I was just a kid, and I'm just doing cocaine young just to kind of make it through the show. So it became a part of everything, hand in hand. And then in the end, it became all that mattered. Like it became way more than being a musician, or I cared more about that than I cared about the music.
let's talk about your bottom,
Okay.
your tap out moment.
Yeah.
Walk the audience through what was going on then. Where were you at? How old were you?
Well, they say fun with problems, and then just problems.
Right.
And that was the arc of my addiction. And the beginning of it was I mean, it was really fun, like for everybody. It was like I found this freedom from the pressure that I had at school. I mean, I got kicked out of high school. I got a girl pregnant at 16. She had my daughter when I was 17. I didn't meet her till I was 5 years sober. It was like I had all this external stuff that was like chaos, and I'm robbing people, stealing cars, doing all that stuff. And then the problems started coming right there. And then what happened in the end is, I've been to jail in Rosarito in Mexico, which was not fucking rad at all. That was not a fun experience. And then I went, I've been to jail in Santa Barbara a couple times just from being drunk and disorderly, then an unpaid warrant. And then at the end, I was dating this girl, and she ended up leaving me. I was working at a used clothing store called Aardvarks on Melrose. I got fired from that job. So if that's not bottom enough, I'll continue.
Oh, brother.
And then my third day drunk, I was going to go see The Cure at San Diego State. I stole these tickets and stole my roommate's car, drove down there. My third day drunk, I got pulled over, and I was going to get depressed enough at the show to possibly end my life. Like I was really like, I couldn't imagine my life with alcohol. I couldn't imagine my life without alcohol. That jumping off place that we talk about. And I was going to end it. Instead, I go to jail for a DUI. I got pulled over in Mission Beach, and I went to jail and saved my life. Those cops saved my life by pulling me over, man.
Wow.
Well,
what happened?
I thought it was the end of my life, man. And I go to jail. They said, you can either get sober or stay in jail, And I said, I don't want to stay here any longer, man. And I went out, and this friend of mine was sober. I worked with at Aardvarks, and he was sober 9 months. And I'm like, how the fuck can you stay sober 9 months, dude? So he told me about, these meetings, and I went there and I just saw like all these rock stars and all these people. And I'm like, holy shit, man, this is not what I thought it was going to be a bunch of old dudes in trench coats with boners, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Just weird old guys, like with a little bottle in their pocket, but it wasn't that at all. It just wasn't that.
And you stayed sober from the gate?
From the gate.
From the gate. It just hit you.
February 19th of 1989. I'm 36 years. Yeah.
Wow. So you're going to meetings in West Hollywood, getting part of that, right?
Exactly.
Right. Fucking
that's
amazing
exactly
part of
right.
Time and Recovery that year.
It was
right?
so good. 89. It
Right.
was perfect. It was exactly what I needed. I mean, I couldn't get sober coming out of the first 3 times I went to jail. I couldn't get sober when I got her pregnant. Couldn't get sober getting kicked out of school. I had messed up my kidneys. I had first stages of cirrhosis of the liver. I had jaundice of the eyes. I was really sick from alcoholism, really sick. But none of that got me sober until it was time. And what right do I have to tell anyone, interfere with anyone's bottom?
Right.
It's like, I feel like the dignity of letting people hit their own bottom, which, people try to intervene in my life. I had an intervention. I had my parents that were super concerned, but none of it was ready until I was ready.
Yeah, beautiful. Walk the audience through, if you can remember, your first year. What's your first year recovery, if you can remember like that? And what's some good John Little tips for people in their first year recovery?
Oh man, I was fucking jerking off till I was dehydrated, man. My first fucking year.
Yeah,
dude.
jerk off a lot, audience. As long as you don't drink or get high.
It was like anything recovery approved. It was like I was drinking a pot of coffee a day. I was the more anxious I would get, the more coffee I would drink. I just didn't know. How do you live without drinking and drugs? Like, how do you live, man? And it was like, that's what I was doing. I was smoking clove cigarettes, drinking coffee, and spanking the monkey. I mean, that was my first year, man. It was like, but it was so fun, man. I mean, my sponsor said, that basically, dude, you got to be self-supporting through your own contributions. You got to do this shit. So I went and begged for my job back at Aardvarks, and Joe, the owner, graciously gave me my job back when I was 6 weeks sober. Wow. And I got that job back, and that's when I started like my journey of being self-supporting. It was so important.
Right.
Like my friend.
Tell the audience why that's so important.
Well, for me, if I didn't like support myself, if I was looking for other people to support me, there's no way I would have like I would be able to know that I can do this on my own, have the
Right.
esteem to be able to say, maybe I can do something bigger than just sell used clothes on Melrose. Maybe there's something out there. And it gave me enough courage and hope to be able to pursue my dreams of being a musician. You know, that self-esteem came from me showing up at work, you know, and Milton, one of my heroes, would always say, you know, I'm never surprised when an alcoholic gets sober. I'm always surprised when he gets a job, because I think it's a really hard thing to do. It's a really hard thing to do, I think, for people that think, especially you get sober and you feel entitled, and in LA you feel like things should be handed to you. But man, I've had to earn every penny I've ever made. I've had to earn it. And it makes me feel valuable inside that I've had to earn it.
Right on. Right on. Beautiful. When did you walk the audience through when you found your higher power, and how did you find your higher power?
I mean, it was kind of force fed to me in the beginning. I was raised Catholic. I had the Stations of the Cross growing up, and I'd see, you know, this naked dude nailed to a cross. I'm like, how is that going to help me get sober? Like, how is this, you know, which look, I have no real opinions on religion. I don't have a religion I practice. I have a spiritual practice that I do every day. But back then, Kimball told me, he said, this is what we do here. We get on our knees to humble ourselves, and we say what's called the third step prayer, you know, and he made me memorize that. And that's what I did in the beginning. You know, I memorized this thing that I didn't, and I got on my knees and I prayed to it, something I didn't believe in, but I said it anyway. And the power of prayer is incredible. I mean, if I think about it, if I really think about it, that I've been doing this every day for 36 years, most days, right? That I've been taken care of. That there has been something out there that has carried me through all these things. My son getting sick, losing the job, you know, crazy, you know, drama in the marriage, all the stuff that I've been through, that there's been someone carrying me, like that footprints in the sand thing. You know, it says through the hardest times in our life, I can look back and see that I've been carried.
Beautiful. Why is resentment the number one offender?
Well, I mean, for me, it's like, if I'm carrying around this anger, right? If I am carrying around anger, I cannot focus on what's right in my life. If I'm focused on, let's take my wife, for instance, because she's the closest person in my life. If I'm focused on how much pizza she's eating, how much money she's spending, all I can see is how everything that's wrong with her.
Right.
I can see our bank account dipping down. I can see her growing, and I can see all this shit happening. But if I focus on what an amazing mother she is, what an amazing wife she is, her loyalty, her love, which is endless. It's fucking endless, what she gives to me. That's what grows. Whatever I focus on grows. So if I'm focused on a resentment, all of a sudden it goes to my belly. I don't know about you, but when I'm deeply resentful, I can feel the acid burning my stomach. It's awful. Why would anyone want to live that way? Ever. I have to be free of it at any cost. And for me, it's about writing the resentment down, why I resent it, and what my part is. Like, what did I do to create this? What am I doing to keep pushing it forward? And then I pray for the person. That's what I do for 2 weeks. Their health, happiness, success, everything I want for me, I pray for them. And it usually works.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I got to imagine, I'm, you know, on that list, some producers that ripped you off, some bandmates that ripped you off, some version, right? Walk the audience through that process of people that did you real harm financially or gossiped about you, how you got free of that. You said a little bit. Can you go in more detail?
I mean, ultimately, like, the idea of what prayer does is beyond me, the why of it. I just know that it works, that when I do it, it works. But it is really challenging. Like, I've had such an amazing career, and I'm so grateful, but it's hard when I do bring people up from nothing, when they don't know how to make a coffee or turn a computer on. And then I watch them go talk shit about me and go out there and become these superstar producers. And they won't even talk. Some of them won't even talk to me because they're thinking I did them wrong for this reason, this reason, this reason. And I can't even talk to them. It's really challenging because I'm a people pleaser, like a lot of people in recovery. You don't want people to I want some people to like me. And it's like, I want to be able to make it right. But those are the hardest ones when I go to make an amend and I can't even get with them. So what I do, man, is like they say, when I try and get even, I get even worse, right? That's the thing, man. It's like if I go out there and I try and get revenge, I try and get even with them, all it is keeping that resentment going forward. So I have to be free of it. And that's happened. I mean, it hasn't happened a lot, but I'd say on one hand, I can count, 5 people that are not out there promoting me.
Right.
And it is tough because it's a cutthroat business, man. It is
Right.
really hard. And there's only so many artists that you can work with that are actually successful out there. So when I pray for their health, this one guy I'm thinking of, since we're talking about it, and I'm praying for his health, happiness, and success. And then this one job I'm going for, he gets the job. And I'm like, fuck. I keep praying for his health, happiness, and success. And then I find out a month later, after doing it for a month, he gets a job producing the Rolling Stones, dude. I talked to my friend Peter Miller. He goes, stop praying for the fucking guy.
That's fucking great.
So I did.
Yeah, I got it. Let me add to that great thing, because I so fucking get that. I've taken guys off the street that are living in their fucking cars, helped them get sober, helped them get their kids back, teach them the game of how we run Shell here, put them in play, making money, traveling, meeting amazing people, and they steal from me. And they start running their fucking mouth. What's my part in it? I should have never hired somebody that was so newly sober and given them that amount of responsibility. I always have a part.
Yeah, I always have a part.
I'm not saying that about you, but I want to let the audience know that's what changed my life. What the fuck is my part in that? And it's people are going to run their mouths.
Yeah. I mean, conversely, it's like they say expectations are resentments under construction.
Yeah.
And I've got expectations, and I'm a loyal guy. I like to be loyal to the guys in my band, to my wife, obviously to my kids, to the people that I sponsor, et cetera. But it's like a lot of times I just expect other people to treat me the same way I treat them. And it's just not how the world happens sometimes.
You and I will always be indebted to John Kimball. You may or may not know this. I used to work for him at the VCR Doctor.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. I'll always give him love, and I'm doing it right now. You and I, whoever's showing up for us, who's given us a shot, who believed in us, who loved us when we couldn't love ourselves, we're indebted to them.
Exactly.
And a lot of cats don't get that way.
Dude, back in the VCR days, I had this one fucking porn video that got stuck in my VCR because it was just one scene I'd rewind and watch over and over. And John Kimball was my first call. I'm like, bro, can you fix my VCR?
Right.
It's stuck.
Yeah.
He's the best.
He's the best. God bless John. John, big love for you, brother. Big love for you. So, okay. Right. You get through the steps, you get through that, you've 10, 11, and 12. But what's it like in your first year of sobriety? How old are you?
21.
Right. So you're at meetings, you're next to guys from fucking Arrows. I mean, cats are successful. And how are you just kind of, how are you like, what's your attitude? It's like, I'm going to keep doing my music, or it will never happen for me, or what's going through your mind?
I was a punisher in the beginning, dude. I was a punisher, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know the idea of anonymity. I didn't know the idea of, like, it's a sacred space. When I'm in a meeting, it's sacred and it's safe for people to share whatever's going on, because if you share your pain, it gets cut in half. You share your joy and it doubles. Yeah. That's the rule. And it's like, I used to go and punish some of these rock stars and be like, I'm playing a show tonight. Here's a flyer. I would punish them. And it's like, it never works.
Yeah.
That shit never works when I'm hustling at a meeting. It just doesn't work. And I figured that out, and I just focused on me, my side of the street. I focused on what I needed to do to make shit happen. And it didn't happen in my terms because, like I said, that metal band, it felt like Tommy Lee produced our album, and he was the greatest. He taught me how to be a producer. He would sit there and I remember he had a lighter. He'd smoke cigarettes, and he'd light his farts on fire in the middle of a session. I'd laugh. We'd laugh hysterically, and we just had the best time making music. So I had that experience, and it was great. And like I said, we had all these legendary Pearl Jam open for us, dude. It was wild. Wow. But it's like it wasn't meant to be for me. I had to go back to selling shoes. And without that shoe store, it wouldn't have worked out the way that it was, where
exactly
me being in this band where I was the leader, writing the songs, it wouldn't have worked out that way.
The Doc Martens metaphor is super powerful for me because it's about you making a bet on yourself. And I said it when we were blessed to have you here. The trick is you got to put whatever your metaphor is, you got to put the fucking cassette in the doc, whatever that is for you, you got to fucking do that. And what happens next, none of our business, correct? You do that, you get signed, shit's popping off. Let's go from there. Let's walk our life through there now.
Yeah, let's. I mean, they say you can't lock yourself in a closet and pray for a sandwich. You got to make the sandwich. You can't
right.
I mean, it's the same thing with a lot of artists these days, man. They make music, they make all this music and they won't put it out because they're scared it's not going to go viral or it's not going to be successful. But you got to put it out there. You have to start somewhere. Like whatever it is, put it out to the world and let it be what it is because it comes from you anyway, you know? So in the beginning, it was like, I mean, it started, with I had a 12-track recorder, the Sakai 12-track, and I just would record it. I played the drums. I just would do everything myself, and I'd look for a band. I found my drummer. He was working with my best friend at Starbucks. My bass player worked with me at Nana, the shoe store, and my guitar player was my old guitar tech from the Electric Love Hog. So It all kind of came together just through these relationships that I had, and it was like, I listened to K-Rock every day back then. K-Rock was it was really the blueprint. Every station in the country played whatever K-Rock played.
Right.
And I would listen to it and I'd be so stoked to hear Pennywise and Green Day and Rancid, all my favorite bands at the time. I had this Dodge Colt that I bought for $100 from my grandma with it had the fuzzy steering wheel around it and I'd torn it off. It was all super glue. So in the summer here, my hands would get stuck to the steering wheel.
I love that.
It was awesome, man. But I had all my No Effects and Bad Religion bumper stickers on the back driving around Hollywood. And then one day, right after I met that guy, I was still doing my 2 weeks at Nana to get out of there. And I heard my song on K-Rock one day. And I remember I pulled over and I was like, wow, I made it. I was like,
wow.
And I wish, to be honest, today I could still you know what I mean? Good job, buddy. But I don't know. The more success that I've gotten, the less I give myself a break. It's a weird thing. Back then, it was like that was the goal, and I had made it. And I gave myself a pat on the back, and I was like, listening to them before. What were they going to say afterwards? Were they going to shout out the band? Were they going to do whatever? But it's like, I just remember sitting in my car going, I've made it. I'm on K-Rock.
Wow. Wow, that's fucking beautiful.
That was the beginning of the journey, man, for me. And then, for me, it was about touring because I wanted to play my songs in front of people and have them sing the words back to me that I wrote in my bedroom. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted. And a lot of artists today, man, they just want to go viral or have a big TikTok moment and be able to sit in their room and film themselves. And it's just so different. I mean, the bands that are successful now still do the same thing that I did. Get in a van, go play a show in front of 5 people. The next year you're playing in front of 10. Next year you're playing in front of 100, and you build an audience. It's the same shit. All the great bands today, Turnstile, Knock Loose, all these bands are touring. They're doing the work. And it's like, sometimes I want to shake these kids and go, get on the road. You don't need to be in the studio and write 100 songs for a record. Go get on the road. And that's what I did.
Right.
We hold the world's record for most shows played from a touring band. In 1996, we played 385 shows in 1996. We play a lot of 2-show days. We had 2 days off that year. Killed my knees, but it was so worth it, man. We're in the Guinness Book of World Records for most shows played.
I did not know that, buddy. Why? What was going through you? You loved playing? It was just, what was going through your mind?
It was a combination of
How'd you get the band to say, fuck, okay.
We had a manager that just put the hammer down, man. He was like, because, he's making 20%. So, I mean, unbeknownst to me, as I was a kid, just out there, and I just didn't want to go back to selling shoes, man. I was like, if I have an opportunity to play a show, why would I say no? I'm going to say yes. And I'm a single guy out there just, meeting girls and playing my songs and going to radio stations, promoting it. And it was amazing. But there was also this thing of a lot of these bands have been doing it for, Bad Religion were doing it since, the early 80s. And I come along in 94 and there was this idea of the sellout thing. We're on MTV, we're on the radio. And so some of our peers are like, who the fuck are these guys coming Goldfinger, coming out of nowhere? They're on the radio. Part of it, they're like, why aren't we on the radio? The other part of it is did they earn their stripes? And so there's this undercurrent of still, am I good enough? Did I make it? Is it enough? That whole thing.
Oh, right. What was it like for you when you heard your lyrics come back towards you on stage?
Oh, dude, that song "Here in Your Bedroom" was the first song that got on the radio, so right? Yeah, that was
was the first one.
That was the first one.
So fun.
And it was and I'd written that song on God, it was New Year's Day. I worked with this girl at Nana, and I'd had a crush on her for like 6 months. And we finally hooked up New Year's Eve. And I wrote the song the next day, in 10 minutes. I just wrote it about the experience that I had, And it was like, I just, well, you have changed because I still feel the same. Whenever we stop and the crowd sings that moment back, I'm like, dude, there's nothing better.
Fuck.
There's
Wow.
nothing better.
Oh, you put me right there. Wow.
Nothing better.
Wow. You still get a rush off it when you
It's
do it now?
crazy, dude. Like, 94. So what is that? 31 years later in 2025, like we sold out this East Coast run we're doing next month. It was like, we're still playing 2,000 to 3,000 seaters. It's like, I mean, my life is beyond anything I could have imagined.
Wow.
I'm going to Australia next month for all these big festival shows in front of 50,000 people with Tool, which is funny. And Weezer, all my homies. It's going to be great. It's going to be fucking great.
Wow. Good for
And
you,
there's going to
man.
be those moments of them singing back the shit. And I just, I don't ever want to take it for granted, ever.
Yeah, that's beautiful. When in your career did you realize, I think I'm not going to have to sell shoes again? I get that. That's a real thing, right?
Today?
Just being here, being with you. Yeah, no.
Today. I finally made it.
Yeah,
I'm on your
finally
show.
made it.
I
Yeah.
love it.
Good for you.
Yeah, no, I don't know. Look, the journey really is the prize, because I've been nominated for a couple Grammys. I've got so many plaques on the wall from gold and platinum albums. I've had so much success in my life, but it's like, it's a mirage, man. It's like, because I used to think as a kid when I get to hear, and there was that moment on K-Rock where I really felt like I had accomplished something. But it's like, once you get somewhere, then you're like, looking, how do you keep it? And there's all these guys underneath you just like trying to pull you off the ladder to get to your spot. And it's like, how do I keep it? But if that's my whole modus operandi or whatever, then what's the point? It's got to be about the journey, because when it's me and a guitar in my bedroom and I got some chords that I like and a melody comes to my head and I got a concept for a song, I'm not anywhere else. I'm not thinking about when's the next platinum record, when's the next Grammy nomination. I'm just in that moment. And that journey is what matters, man.
Yeah, right on. Wow. The audience, I'm assuming, will want to know, you're a young guy, good-looking guy. You're
Thanks.
playing all these shows. How are you staying sober? How did you stay sober during that time? How did you stay grounded? How did you stay of service back then?
Dude, I so many stories. I remember at 9 months sober, I saw this guy that I had slept with his girlfriend, and he was in a band with me back in the olden days. And I'm like, I'm just going to make amends, but I wasn't there. I wasn't ready yet, but I'm like in my head, I'm going to make amends. I didn't talk to John. I didn't do anything. I just like went up to the guy. I'm like, and he was the bartender at the party. And I just go, hey man, I'm sober now. And I just want to say, I'm sorry for sleeping with your girlfriend. And he didn't know I had slept with his girlfriend. And I go, can I get a club soda? I mean, like whatever the wrong way to do that, I did it the wrong way.
Yeah.
So he goes, no problem, bro. Turns around, gets this club soda and pours a bunch of vodka in it. And I didn't know, right? Hands it to me. And I go, thanks, bro. And I take a sip. And I felt the burning in my mouth and I spit it out immediately. And I'm like, shit. I called John Kimball from the party. I'm like, John, this is what happened. What did I do? He goes, day one. And he hung up the phone because he's a funny guy. It wasn't day one because obviously my intention wasn't to drink and I didn't drink it. But it was still like a big kind of like, how am I going to do this in the real world? Like, how is it going to happen? And I go on tour. I mean, I remember we had a meeting in another band's dressing room, and we're halfway through the meeting, and I look down at the table, and there's a bunch of lines drawn out, and we're in the middle of a 5-person little meeting. I'm like, oh shit, there's fucking cocaine right here. And we went to another room immediately. There was another time in St. Louis when I was trying to I been with my wife for maybe like 5 years or something. And I come off stage and I go at the pageant in St. Louis and I go back to the dressing room. Everyone's on stage, like, meeting fans or doing whatever. I just wanted to shower. And there's these 2 strippers in the shower naked. And they just look at me and they start making out. And I see on the table, they'd drawn out a bunch of lines of cocaine and they just go like this to me into the shower. I just look at them. I turned around and I walked out. I don't know where, like, because that is not my instinct. That is not my instinct. I mean, I'm still like a dude, you know, and it's like the idea of monogamy. Like if I was a penguin and my partner died, like I'm going to be monogamous, but I'm a human and humans aren't built to be monogamous. So those kind of decisions, when I look back, I go, there is a higher power working in my life that just turned me around and got me the fuck out of that dangerous situation.
Wow. That year that you set the world's record, how were you going to meetings? How did you take care of yourself though, man? Or were you not taking care of yourself?
I was 100%. I have been to a meeting every day for 36 years, every day, no matter what. I'll do a sound check, go to a 6 p.m. meeting, go to the show at 11. I mean, no matter what. It is a no matter what for me.
I did not know that.
No matter what.
No matter what.
Every time.
You'd figure it out in the city.
I go to
set
Sydney.
Up before.
Back in the olden days, I did phones at central office and they had I'd have it in my pocket. Where do I go before there was the internet?
Right.
I just knew exactly where I was going to go before I got there every time.
Yeah, beautiful. That's important. That's super. Yeah, I remember when I was traveling in Europe and before the internet, the international directory, and you would go and you try to figure it. And the meeting hadn't been there 3 years, and you figure it out.
You figure it out.
You fucking figure it out. You go to another one.
You see the logo and you got it.
You got it. I did not know that. Yeah, good for you, man. Good for you. When did you put your producer hat on? When did you cross over, and when did you realize, like, oh fuck, I enjoy this? Not only do I enjoy it, I'm really good at it.
Yeah. I had produced my own band. So I kind of figured out just by trial and error what an EQ is, what a compressor is. Like I would just move the knobs until it sounded right to me, you know, and I would figure out microphones and what sounded good on my voice and what sounded good on the other guys in my band. You know, I kind of like just did it trial by error. I was self-taught and, you know, I'd found this band Show Off from Chicago. And I was like, I knew I could make them sound better. I knew I could do with my experience making my own records. I knew I could make their shit sound better. And I did. And I was like, this is so fun. Like not having to worry about how's the song going to go over live for me? How am I going to sing it live? Is it in the right key for me? I'm just writing for somebody else, producing for somebody else. And it was just like, I had no idea that people even could do this for a living. Like I wasn't looking when I was a kid, producer credits on albums. I just listened to the music. So the Used blew, I mean, they really changed the world. I mean, there were bands, there was a band called The Refused that the Used were really influenced by. And there was definitely bands like AFI that were doing screaming music, but the way Burt's, the singer, sings like Michael Jackson and then was able to scream like he's being murdered. Like I'd never heard anything like it. It didn't exist. And he created this whole genre from the first album that we made together. And it was like everywhere I went, they're like, people would be like, how'd you get that snare drum sound? How'd you record his vocals? What were you using as a compressor? And it became this thing that I'm like, holy shit, people are paying attention. People are paying attention to the way I make records.
Right.
You know, I remember this band, Bring Me the Horizon. First time I met Ollie, the singer, he was like, dude, the Used album changed I mean, they're like one of the biggest rock bands in the world. They do 2 nights at the Forum. They're massive. And they're like, that first Used record changed my life. Everything about it. So that's when I knew I needed to, and you know, Goldfinger kind of like plateaued. Like it's not like we never became, you know, Green Day or Blink, which were our kind of, you know, cohorts when we were coming up. They became these stadium bands and we kind of stayed at like a bigger club level. And I'm like, if I want to have kids, if I want to do this, maybe I can check this thing out and see what happens.
Oh, right. So you were humble enough and sober enough to go, it's been a great run. We're probably not going to be like our brothers Green Day. I'm going to figure something out here.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, the messaging I got as a kid was when God closes a door, he closes all the fucking doors, right? That was the messaging I got. And it's like, but I found out that like, it's not that way. And it's like, do I want to live in this little mouse hole that I'm living in? Like, eking by and, you know, kind of paying the mortgage, or there's this huge door open with all these bands that want me to produce them. Like, what do I want to do?
Right.
And it was like, I mean, at that point, I'd herniated a disc in my neck from we go crazy live. I'd torn my ACL. I've had 4 surgeries on my knees. You know, we're talking 15 years into my career in the band. And it's like, how is this sustainable as we go forward? So how I made it sustainable is now we play 40 shows a year and I just do weekend stuff and I produce records the rest of the time. And dude, it all worked out better than I can imagine.
Right.
It all worked out better.
Right.
I had no idea.
Right.
When they told me, dude, maybe you should be DJ Feldmann when fucking Skrillex was blowing up. Maybe you should go be a DJ. I'm like, bro, I'm not a DJ. It's not me. I got to be true to myself, man.
Mm-hmm. And you just started taking the action and people found you.
Yeah.
Right. You're good at it. I mean, it's really, how long has that been now that you actually been?
I mean, I started producing, 25 years ago.
Wow.
So it's been a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
Your wife.
Yeah.
You've been married for how long?
I've been married for 26 years. We got together 29 years ago.
How have you stayed married?
We don't want a divorce on the same day because there are definitely days I want it to end, and there's definitely days she wants it to end, but it hasn't been on the same days. So on the days that I want it to end, she'll convince me why we got to stay. And I mean, the main thing is contrary action, because the honeymoon phase, no matter who you are, it dissipates and it becomes real. Then you got real problems, with, jobs and mortgage and money. And then you got kids and you got all that stuff going on. And it's like, so what I've been suggested, which is the hardest thing in the world, is to give her a foot massage when I want to leave the marriage, man. Do the opposite.
Yeah.
Buy her flowers when I want to, after. I mean, look, we don't really fight anymore. We get in little like tiffs, but we've been, 5 years marriage, we're definitely like, it was a struggle. I was working with this one girl, this pop star, and she was 8 months pregnant, and it was like, and I was having all sorts of fucking, like, should I maybe pursue this 25-year-old pop star? I mean, I was definitely thinking like maybe there's a little freebie there, an out. And she knew that I was like, kind of crushing, and it was awful. I felt so guilty, and nothing happened. I never cheated or anything like that. It was just in my head, and I never like put it out there to this other girl or anything. But my wife was like, so, I mean, I would be too. I'd be like, fuck, but I'm only human. I'm human first, but even before I'm alcoholic, and I have human fucking thoughts all the time. And, I didn't act on them, and we made it through, but it was really touch and go there for a minute. And in the end, I love my wife. I really do. And,
no, you do.
But love is an action, man. And I have to act it. I have to buy her flowers. I got to keep writing songs about her. I got to keep putting poems under her pillow and rubbing her feet and all the shit that I don't want to do. Because when I don't feel it, it's hard to do it. But when I do it, I feel it. I feel more in love with her when I take the action.
Amen, brother. Right on. What do you love the most about her?
I mean, she's so beautiful. She's so loyal, man. It's like she would die for me, and she would die for our kids, Right. And the idea that like I have someone that knows me inside and out, knows all of my defects, and still loves me. She's so easygoing, man. It's like I am such a high maintenance dude. I need so much all the time, just attention, and I just need to work. I need to all this shit, and she's just there. She's there.
Yeah, beautiful. You had a daughter when you were 17.
I did.
And then you didn't talk to the daughter until you're 5 years or 3 years sober. Is that right?
5 years sober. So
right.
I was 26 when I first met her.
Talk about that healing.
Yeah, man.
Whew.
She was 5 or maybe 8 when I met her. And I had so much guilt and shame about it because I wasn't there, and I had a kid. I was 16 when she got pregnant. So I was just a kid, man. I mean, I took her to the boardwalk in Santa Cruz. We went on a bunch of rides, and I've never been so terrified in my life. And I've done a lot of scary things. That was the most terrified I'd ever been. I didn't know what I was going to talk about with an 8-year-old kid. I didn't hang out with kids. I didn't have all my friends were still single at the time, and no one had kids, man. And I just kept saying this one prayer over and over in my head, and just get me through the next minute, and that's what I did. And then I was suggested to go visit her on her birthday, to give her presents on Christmas, and just to be part of her life. And what happened is we became friends and started talking, and I was touring all the time, and we talk. And I found out her favorite band was Hanson, which, whatever, wouldn't have been. I mean, this boy band back in the 90s. And So Goldfinger ended up playing Top of the Pops in Germany, this big TV show. And on the same show that we were on, Hanson was on it, right? So I go knock on their door because I knew, a living amend is when these opportunities come available to you.
Yes.
You don't take it for granted. Her favorite guy was Taylor, the sweetest kid. He answers the door. And I go, hey, man, I have a daughter that you're her favorite person on the planet. Is there any way you could leave a message? Or call her. So we just called her and he left a message on her answering machine because she was at school because of the time difference from Germany. Her mom gets home, gets the message from the answering machine, calls the school. The principal plays the message over the loudspeaker for the whole school to hear, right? She says she starts hysterically crying, tells me the story later, hysterically crying, falls out of her chair. And she says, to this day, that was the best moment of my life.
Oh,
and she's had 3 kids. So it's like these moments, dude, that you're able to get,
It's beautiful.
I would have missed it all.
Yeah, missed it all.
I would have missed it all.
Stay with this. What it means to be a sober father for you. What have you had to learn to be a sober father? What does that mean?
Accountable. Mainly that I'm there. I had my oldest daughter is now 42. She's got 3 kids and it's like they're the most beautiful family ever. And I have a beautiful family and theirs is so beautiful. She has 3 daughters and the youngest, who's Reagan, does these silk things where, I don't know if you've seen these gymnastic silk things. Where she goes
I love that.
Yeah. And she's incredible. And it's like, I remember my parents told me like, at the time when they found out that this girl was pregnant, this 21-year-old girl when I was 16, and they said, just ignore it, it'll go away. That was the best they could do, the best advice they could give me. And I remember thinking, when my daughter got pregnant when she was 18, my first thought was, you're going to miss out on all this life. You're going to, that I thought it was the right thing to do, give her my opinion. But what I ended up saying to her was, how can I be of service?
Yeah. Wow.
How can I be of service to you? And it's the best thing. I remember when Reagan was a little girl, they came to visit me, and I was I became a grandpa when I was 37. I had a lot of judgment against myself and what that meant and what it looked like. And I remember holding her hand going to ice cream, and she was 5, and I just was holding her hand, and my kids were older then, and I just asked her. I said, "Do you like coming to Los Angeles to visit us?" And she said, "Yeah." She goes, "I love Los Angeles." And I said, "Why do you love Los Angeles?" And she said, "'Cause you're here."
Oh, wow.
"'Cause you're here." And man, I would have given it all up. I would have given it all up when I was a kid, thinking ending my life was a solution to my problems. This life that I have is just incredible. And being a father is the best thing I've ever done, ever in my life. My son's 20. Wow. He, all he wanted to do was get into Chapman College after high school. It's all he wanted to do. And, he didn't get in. He applied, he didn't get in. And I shared about it at a meeting. I said, my son couldn't get into college. And I was just sharing because I was in pain. And my son was in pain.
You. It hurt you that he was sad.
Man, I feel everything he feels. He's part of me. And
yeah. I
shared it at a meeting. And, if I share my pain, it gets cut in half. If I share my joy, it doubles. And I was just sharing to get through the pain. And this friend of mine at the time who was in the, pornography business, because we know all types in the rooms. And it's like, he calls me afterwards. He goes, "Dude, I know a professor at Chapman." And I'm like, "No, you don't." You don't know a professor. Turns out he did. And put me in touch with this guy, Joe R. And I took him out to lunch and told him my story. And he said, "Let me see what I can do." He wrote a letter to admissions on my son's behalf after he met my son. And he got my son in. And he's been in there now. This is, he's almost done with his 3rd semester at Chapman.
Fuck,
and it's like, it's like I could connect the dots looking backwards, but I can't see the future. I don't have a crystal ball.
Right.
I had no idea this was how the journey was going to go, but everything works out better than I can imagine. I just can't pick up. I just can't use.
Can't pick up. What you probably don't know is I helped Joe R. get sober. So God bless him for carrying the message to your beautiful boy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah. Beautiful. I want to go into your routine, your spiritual routine.
Yeah.
And I'll do some rapid fire.
Yeah.
And then we can call it a day.
Sick.
What's your routine? How do you get right with truth in the morning? What do you do? I know you're a cold plunge guy, right?
Yeah.
All right. Lay it down.
I wake up 5 a.m., 37-degree cold plunge, 3 minutes.
Boom.
Say I love my life out loud. Make my coffee. Go on a meeting. Say my 3rd step prayer. Ask God to keep me sober today.
Boom.
You know, I don't really meditate. I did about 5 years of Vedic meditation. Jeff Kober taught me how to meditate.
Mm-hmm.
Gave me a mantra, 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon. It was a good time in my life, but I kind of fizzled off it. And to be honest, I don't really miss it.
Got it. Yeah, right on. You're right on. And you don't miss a day on this, do you?
No,
You don't,
never.
exactly. Right.
Never. I work out every day too.
Yeah.
Every day, no matter what.
Yeah.
I work out.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right. You ready?
Yeah.
Little rapid fire.
Yeah.
First song that made you say, I'm doing this for life.
That I wrote or someone else?
Either way, I don't care. Whatever comes to mind.
Bob O'Reilly, The Who.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. 3 words that describe Goldfinger's DNA.
Energy, energy, energy.
Fuck yeah. Most underrated Goldfinger track.
Pick a fight.
Wow. Favorite lyric you've ever written, 1 line only.
Here I am doing everything I can, holding on to what I am, pretending I'm a Superman.
Say it again. That's so fucking good.
Here I am doing everything I can, holding on to what I am, pretending I'm a Superman.
Fucking good. Warp tour memory in 1 word.
Chaos.
Best crowd you've ever felt under your feet.
Oh, that's got to be recently, man. Probably Warp Tour 2025, man. This year, just seeing 40,000 people running around in the biggest circle pit I've ever seen.
Wow.
That was incredible. Open, you know, when we played, we headlined this festival in '96 called the HF Festival in DC, and we had to play last. So it was No Doubt, the Foo Fighters, Goldfinger headlining, and it was like 60,000 people jumping. That was a moment too.
Ooh, 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 ooh. Beautiful, beautiful. Most how's this my life in studio moment.
Brendan Urie, Panic at the Disco, getting him on the mic and just freestyling Freddie Mercury.
Oof. Oh, fucking Freddie. Wow. Travis Barker story in 10 seconds.
Sitting in the back of the bus when his old band, the Aquabats, was opening for Goldfinger. He was still in the Aquabats, talking about the Descendants tattoo on his leg and talking about both of our girlfriends at the time, saying, we're going to marry these girls. Wow. Just him and I, old school.
Wow, wow. Band you wish you could have produced.
Deftones. My Chemical Romance. I was offered both.
Wow, wow. Pre-show ritual.
We do a circle, say a prayer. I have throat coat tea, have a entertainer's secret throat spray. Always pray, and I ask God to walk in the room before I do.
Beautiful. New band everyone should know.
Hot Box.
What is it?
Hot Box.
Hot
They're
Box?
Epic new metal band.
Okay. One thing fans always get right about you.
I have web toes.
What's one thing they always get wrong?
That I'm an angry guy.
Wow. Biggest shift in music since you started?
Computers.
Sobriety in 1 sentence.
I mean, I have to put it first.
Yeah. That's great. The text you send a brother who's struggling.
It's going to work out better than you can possibly imagine.
Daily non-negotiable for your mental health.
Cold plunge workout.
One belief you've outgrown.
That I'm not enough.
Finish the line, buddy. At the end of the day, music is
a spiritual journey.
Right on. Oh, that's so great, dude. Final thoughts for the audience? Anything you want to drop on everybody?
Just don't ever give up, man. Just don't ever give up. Keep going no matter what. Just keep going, you know? If you're struggling, if you're a songwriter, if you're a producer, you get it wrong one day, you'll get it right the next. I promise. Just keep going.
Just keep going. Don't quit. Thanks for driving over the hill. Thanks for making time. Thanks for being
Thanks,
great.
Seano.
Yeah, I love you,
You're the
man.
best. I love you too.
The Seano Show is a production of iHeart Podcasts, hosted by me, Seano McFarlane, produced by Pod People and 28th Ave. Our lead producer is Keith Kornelek. Our executive producer is Lindsay Hoffman. Marketing lead is Ashley Weaver. Thank you so much for listening. We'll see you next week.